Hey, this is Alex with the Unbiased Trailblazer podcast. If you haven't joined our Discord yet, you're missing out. Go to our Twitter at Unbiased Blazers. There's a link in our bio where you can join the Discord server from there. There's also links in every podcast description, so you can join from there as well. Now, let's get to the show. Rip City, baby.
When I play out a game and then talk, I'm trying, Jennifer.
Rip City, what is going on? This is another episode of the Unbiased Trailblazers podcast. This is episode 53. We got our numbers right this time. I'm joined here tonight by Fawad. We're back on our regular schedule, Monday night recording for a Tuesday podcast. Fawad, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. I just got back from a very nice weekend getaway. It was really fun, and I'm just on a vacation high right now.
Yeah, I got back from a vacation as well, and I'm on a vacation low. I'm so burnt out from being all over the place the last week and a half. I'm glad I'm home, and I can kind of rest a little bit now.
Where'd you go?
I went up to Newport. Not Newport, sorry. Oh my God. I'm telling you, I'm burnt out. We went to the aquarium in Oregon, which is in Florence. I don't even know, dude. I'm so tired from the vacation. I'm so tired from it.
Good.
All over the place. And then we went to the coast last weekend, Reedsport, and went and saw some elk and went to the beach and dealt with a cold day on the beach with a baby that wanted to play in the water nonstop. So it's been a long couple weeks, but I'm happy I'm home. I'm happy to talk some Blazers. This is probably going to be another short, quick little episode, but there is a couple things we wanted to talk about. So let's hop into it real quick. Very first thing I wanted to talk about, just kind of quickly touch on it, was I'm sure some of you guys have seen the report, if not all of you that are paying attention to the Blazers as much as we do, that Nurkic was playing a little overseas basketball. And the surprising stat I think a lot of us saw from it is his three-point shooting, which I don't know about you, Fawad, but this last season, we saw a lot more of him shooting threes, more than we've seen before. So I was excited I always said that that's one thing he could add to his game that would help us out because he can space the floor out even a little bit more. Granted, I don't ever think he'll be a great three-point shooter. But with that being said, the game that I see here for Bosnia, he had 18 points and 9 rebounds while shooting 3 of 3 from the three-point line, which is promising. So I went back and I looked at his last 30 games. He was 10 of 29 from 3, which is 34%.
30 games of our season?
Yeah, of our season. Sorry, yeah, of our season. Not counting the game with Bosnia. He was 10 of 29 the last 30 games, which is 34, almost 35%. It's like 30. It's a little under 34 and a half. So, if he can shoot 34% from the three-point line, and he's only shooting 1 or 2, maybe 3 a game at the most, it's not I mean, I wouldn't love to see him out there shooting threes constantly, but 34% is a decent amount for a big man. Seeing him shoot three, and they said on the offseason he made an emphasis on shooting threes more and working on his three-point shooting. And his very first game, he went 3 of 3. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. It's I don't even know if it said who they were playing. Estonia. So who knows what Estonia had, but anytime a big man's out there shooting 3 of 3 and he's not known for shooting, I'm excited to see what he can do. Maybe it carries over to this year. How do you feel about Nurk shooting threes and just any of that there?
Yeah, I haven't been following it too closely, but I definitely heard a lot of other fans talking about like Nurk has been hitting the three at a pretty good rate. So that is exciting, but I remember being really disappointed. I think it was maybe 2 years ago. I think it was when he was coming back from the big injury. He was hitting like so many threes in practice, and I got my hopes really high. And I know practice is completely different than him actually showing this in the game now. but I'm still gonna keep my expectations low. But he has been steadily improving his 3-point shooting in each season, so I do expect that to continue. I think he'll probably. I think 34% is probably reasonable. Um, Maybe like 32 to 34% this season on maybe like two or three threes a game. And if he can hit that, I think I would be happy with that. Anything to help space the floor is always a good thing. Um, but the reason I think I'm not as, or I don't care as much as some people, is because I think that, you know, at the end of the day, it's not really a big deal if he can shoot, because he won't turn into like like a Carl Anthony Towns, and I think he's still
Mm-hmm.
best inside the 3-point line.
Yep.
Any skill, if it'll help his game, it'll help the rest of the team. So I am excited for that. I just don't think it's gonna be like a completely different Nurk that we'll see just because of the 3-point shooting. It's just you know one other small tool in his bag.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him being at the top of the three point line, running the offense up there. He's much more like free throw line and down and running the offense kind of thing. But if he can be, if he can't be essentially, if as long as he's respected at the 3-point line, that helps out. Like you can't just not at least close out on him. I was looking at this stat here. It says after hitting just 5 3-pointers over his first 6 seasons, the last 2 years he went 27 of 86, which is 31%. Um, and like I said, the last 30 games he was 34%. So I mean, he can shoot. Like you said, I was the same way when I saw the practice videos of him shooting threes a couple years ago. I was like, wow, he's gonna really come out and start shooting threes. And he tried at the beginning of the year that same season, and it didn't really work out, and he kind of went away from it. But yeah, I'm the same. I'm not like expecting him to be just launching threes constantly, but it is a nice little addition to his game that will probably help out a little bit.
Yeah.
The next thing we wanted to talk about was the broadcast team. Kind of we got news today, so kind of a little whirlwind. Do you want to start off on what's the whole issue was going on with it?
Sure. So basically, I don't know, maybe like a week ago, White James, I think it was, reported that the team was looking to take to take away the flying rights or whatever you want to call it. Basically, our broadcast team wouldn't fly to the road games like they normally do, and like how every single team in the NBA does. They would only be in the arena for home games, and for away games, they would just do it from Portland. I guess they would be watching the same feed that we are and just commentating over it, pretty similar to how it was during the pandemic seasons. And that was pretty upsetting to a lot of people. I myself was pretty disappointed because I think it is a pretty noticeable difference when they're not actually in the arena and they can't see what's
Yep.
going on. I remember for us, our team specifically, or just like other commentators during the pandemic seasons, but like when there was a confusion on the court, or if it wasn't clear on the feed, they would be confused too. And normally we rely on the commentators to clear things up. Like if there was a call, sometimes you don't see what it was. The commentators usually know, like, oh, this person got called for that, but the commentators would be just as confused. So I was a little bit disappointed because it does hurt the quality of the broadcast team, especially our broadcast team, who is so good and they put in so much work and effort
Yes.
into delivering a good product. And for the team to hurt their to limit their like to limit their ability to do their job, it was a little bit disappointing. How did you feel when you heard that?
I'm the same exact way as what you just said there at the end. We have one of the best broadcast teams. I mean, we've already talked with Brooke. We know how most of the fan base feels about Brooke. To not have them go there and be at those games and feel the energy of the stadium, I when I heard it, like it when I heard it, it didn't surprise me. It's totally something I would expect with how Jody had been running things and the path we kind of were going down. Um, I 100% agree with you. Like when they did it, when they did the COVID arenas and no one was, allowed there, you could tell a total difference in people talking, watching a monitor from some studio and actually being in the arena. And like you said, we do rely on them a lot of times to be able to clear things up for us. And when they're watching it the same as us and they have no idea, it was just a nightmare. So
Yeah,
I'll let you finish with what's about to happen, but yeah,
yeah.
I'm on the same boat as you.
Really quick before I get into today's news, after I heard that initial thing, I saw it was Sean Hyken's, I think it was like an article or maybe it was his Twitter. He posted like a little bit more information. He said this was in, this was a possibility like from a couple months ago, and the last he had heard was that the Blazers, the business person, I forgot his name right now. I don't know if you remember what it is, but
Oh, give me 1 second, I'll remember it.
yeah, basically, the most recent update that Sean Hyken said he got was that they haven't, finalized the decision, but they're probably gonna start with that, and they'll see like if it hurts the quality of the broadcast that they would, go back to how it was before. So when I read that, it comforted me a little bit. So I wasn't too upset after I read that, even though, sometimes businesses lie just to like settle, just do
Hmm.
their PR and, let the crowd, settle down. So, I was a little bit, it did comfort me a little bit. So I was happy to see that. But, the fan base as a whole and even some of the broadcasting members themselves, they were like pretty upset about it. And I think I saw people from other teams were like upset about it too because we were the only team make that decision. So there was a lot of uproar and just general unhappiness with the team and with this decision. I think that that got heard by the team, by Jody Allen, and it was Dwayne Hankins. So they,
Thank you. There we go. Thank you.
yeah, so they heard the backlash and the feedback, and today, as of maybe an hour ago, they have reversed that decision, and the broadcast team will travel on road games officially. So that was really exciting to hear. Like I said, I thought it would get reversed soon enough, but I thought it might have been 20, 30 games into the season. So I'm happy we won't even have a single road game without the crew. So very good news on that end.
Well, and then speaking of road games, our very first game is a road game, so it's like we don't right off the bat. You would have been thrown into the commentators being at home and getting to see how much of a disaster that would have been. So I'm with you. When we got the news today, I was like, thank God, because that would have been such. It's not even. It's like we're the only team doing that. It's just
Yeah,
such a like disservice to them, like to the broadcast team themselves. Like they put in hard work, and now it's like, nah, you don't get to go.
and
It's crazy. I'm glad it got reversed. I'm glad they're going back to the way it was and how it should be, and
how
we
much
get to see
money would
Brooke.
they even have saved by doing that? Like
That's the problem there. You're saving at like if I wanted to be like,
like you're pinching pennies at that point.
yeah, you're just the amount of money that Jody Allen has in that estate. It's like wouldn't even put a crack in what like it's just you're pinching pennies when you don't need to, and it's just
Exactly.
a way to piss off the fan base even more.
Especially in a time when you don't have the benefit of the doubt. So
Exactly, when everyone's already pretty much on edge with everything that's been going on. So, good move they reversed it because, people already aren't happy with Root Sports, and then you throw in, "Oh, we're not gonna bring the broadcast team." It's like, what else? And next is gonna be, no more home games, we're just gonna go play somewhere else. Like, it coulda just got crazy out of hand, I don't know, like, I'm glad they decided to go the other way with it. And I do think a lot of it had to do with I think probably 90% of it had to do with, like, the reaction from the fan base.
yeah, like that's the only reason I think.
One thing Oh, you have something else?
No, I was just gonna move on to
Okay. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I put the question with the Trailcaster, so I don't know if they answered the same question or not, but I thought it was kinda interesting. Our last podcast, we talked about it a little bit. We talked about the if Nos was gonna start or if Josh Hart was gonna start, and we both kind of agreed it was probably gonna be Little starting and, Hart coming off the bench. So, with that being said, I asked a question to the Trailcasters and I also put it in our Discord. So, if you're not in our Discord, make sure you join our Discord and talk with us. There's a link in our bio, there's a link on our Twitter, everywhere you can find the link. So I wanted to ask you this question. Let me get to it so I don't want to quote it wrong. So, do you think is there a realistic possibility where if Hart's coming off the bench that he can be sixth man of the year? And if he does somehow become sixth man of the year, what would our season look like if that did happen?
So you want me to start?
Yep, go for it. Unless you want me to.
Uh, I think you start actually.
Okay, I'll go for it. So I do think there's a possibility because I do think he's going to get a lot of minutes, and I think even though with how we thought it would work, even if he's not starting, he's going to be playing starter minutes. Which number one, right away, you have to be playing those type of minutes to get even considered for sixth man of the year. I feel, um, and you have to be effective pretty much right off the bat. And Josh Hart to me is one of those dudes you can plug into any system and just be effective right away. He's like a Swiss Army knife that can just do whatever you need. He's a very good player, very very good. I think he has the possibility to do it. I don't think it'll happen. I think the way our offense is kind of tailored towards Lillard and Grant, he's not going to get the points to be considered because I know that's a big factor for six man of the year's points. But he does all the little things. He plays defense. He's one of the best rebounding small forward guards that you can have, especially for his height. He's one of the best, and he's a high energy guy. So I think it's possible. I don't think he'll get it. He'd have to have an unbelievable season, and if he's having an unbelievable season, I think he'd be starting. So, but if by some miracle he were, without a doubt, if he's sixth man of the year and everything else is going pretty well, we're at least, I would say, a top 5 seed, top 4 seed if he's sixth man of the year. And playoff wise, we're at least in the second round, if not like given a real battle to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Because what our biggest issue has always been, we go to our bench and we kind of lose where we're at, or if it's a close game, we lose more ground. So I think if he's being sixth man of the year and he's running offense as well, and he's still being a very good defender, I think we're at least second round, if not farther.
Yeah, I think I pretty much mostly agree with you. I don't think he'll get it because of the points factor. I think he can score enough to get it. I just don't know between Dame and Grant Nurk. I don't know if the minutes will be there. I don't know if the points will be there enough for him to get to like 18-ish, which is what I feel like most six man of the year winners have scored recently. He probably will be as good, if not as good as any six man in the league, if not the best outright. But the voting for this award, it usually goes to someone who's a really high scorer, like a spark plug that just comes in and scores. I think that's not how we will be using Josh Hart. So I think he has the talent to win it. I don't think he'll play in the style that usually wins. But again, if he has the talent, I think it's possible that maybe he gets enough recognition. But then again, like you said, we would have to be a top 4 seed at least. It's a regular season award, so the playoffs won't factor into that. But I think top 4 seed, that at a minimum, and then maybe at least 12 points, I'd say, which I think is reasonable, 12 points. But then he would also have to have a noticeable impact on defense, on rebounding. If all that comes together, maybe, but that also, if that happens, like one of two things would need to happen on our team. Either someone gets injured, that opens up more, gives Josh Hart more touches,
Very true.
or the more positive scenario, which is that Nasir Little pops off so much, and so does Josh Hart, that Josh plays so good, but he still doesn't start because Nas is that much better. So if there's some way where Josh Hart's averaging like 16, but Nas is averaging like 18, and maybe we're number 2 seed, and Josh Hart wins sixth man of the year. So if there's something crazy like that where multiple guys pop off, then it could happen. But otherwise, I don't really see him winning sixth man of the year. But again, I'm a huge Josh Hart fan. I think he'll be one of the most important guys to the team. I just don't think his play might be a little underappreciated by those who don't watch our games.
I mean, we already know you and I are very big on Josh Hart. Portland loves Josh Hart already, and we're going to love him even more the more we see him. I agree. He's probably is going to be a very undervalued player from outside the Blazers franchise. But I wanted to point out something you pointed out. Tyler Hero, Jordan Clarkson, Lou Williams, Eric Gordon, Jamal Crawford, all those guys, J.R. Smith, all those guys were like kind of the recent players to win Sixth Man of the Year. All high scoring offensive players. That's usually the very first thing people look at for Sixth Man of the Year is the offensive side of the ball. Montrezl Harrell did win in 1920. So he averaged, which again, he averaged 18 and a half points. So that's still a good amount. 7 rebounds. So I think to even be considered, you're going to have to at least be somewhere in the 15, 16, 17, if not higher, to be considered for Sixth Man of the Year, unless he's making such an impact defensively, like in steals or blocks, or if he's averaging a lot of rebounds. I'm excited for Josh Hart. Like, I know we've talked about him a lot. Part of me kind of sees like a little Wesley Matthews in him, where he just does what you need him to do, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, 100%. I I can't wait for the season to start to see how he fits in with the rest of our team.
And a full team at that, having Lillard and everybody
Fingers crossed,
on the team.
Full team.
Yeah, fingers crossed, right? One other thing before we move to the last topic, I haven't heard anything else about Shaedon Sharpe. So last we heard, he's still shooting, not practicing but shooting, and they're still planning for him to be ready for training camp. So I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you have, but that's the last news I have on him.
Yeah, I don't think we've heard anything new since then.
Okay. So before we wrap this up, we wanted to just go over the first 10 games, and also I wanted to at least talk about one game I'm excited for next season, or this coming season. But we want to go over the first 10 games, just kind of get our thoughts and predictions on how that's going to be. So do you want to just kind of go quickly game by game on it?
I would rather just give my overall prediction and then talk about I guess some of my hotter takes.
Sure. Let's go for it. You go first.
Okay, so there was a post about this on Reddit, maybe like 4 or 5 days ago, and I think we'll go. Okay, so most of the people said like 5-5 or better. I am not as optimistic as most people, and I think I have us at 3-7, maybe 4-6. So I think, Houston we win for sure. But I don't know if we have any other guarantees. Sacramento is one of the worser teams, but they're still not that bad anymore. So and we're on the road, so I could see us losing that. Phoenix 3 times. They had a very disappointing playoffs, but they were still a really good regular season team. Lakers, I think we'll beat the Lakers, especially in Staples. Dame is gonna shine in that game. He'll probably drop 50. So Houston, Lakers.
And that's an early game too. That's what's weird.
Oh wow, that's really early.
Yeah, 12:30.
Yeah. So Houston and Lakers are the 2, but then that third game, I'm not sure where it'll come from. Maybe Sacramento, maybe one of the Miami ones, maybe Denver. I think we'll probably get the Denver one, to be honest, since it's in Portland. If it was in Denver, I would say they win, and then maybe we win one of the Phoenix ones or something like that. So I think 3-7 or 4-6. But other than that, it's a really tough start, and I don't know if we'll win even 5 of them. I think I'm confident we'll win at least 3, but I think 4 is probably around where we'll end up. 4-6 start is what I'm saying.
So I teetered between 4-6 and 5-5. Looking at the schedule, the first game against Sacramento, I have a feeling just sheer talent wise, I think we'll win that one. But I think it'll be a close game, and it's going to be the first game with Grant and Lillard and Hart and everyone being there. So I think the energy and everyone kind of being excited to play together. I guess preseason counts as games, but like the first real meaningful game, I think we'll win that one. I have us. This is where I teetered on 4-6 and 5-5. I had us losing to Phoenix at first, but then when I noticed that it was our first home game, I said I took the win on that one. And then I also had us beating the Lakers. And then we get into where we kind of start losing. I think we lose to Denver. I think we lose to Miami. I think we win to Houston. I think we win against Memphis. And then we go on a losing streak here to end it out. We lose Phoenix and Miami. 3 in a row, 2 to Phoenix and 1 to Miami. I have us 5-5, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4-6 because that's kind of how I felt at first. I just took that first home game, everyone being back. I took that into account as a win, but I very well could be a loss. And I do agree, playing Denver at home, it could be flip flop. We could lose to Phoenix and beat Denver at home, but I just had it first game. I just went with us winning that one. But it's a very tough. Our first half is pretty. I mean, just those first 10 games, it's a lot of games that could go either way.
Yeah,
And it doesn't get much easier until about halfway through.
Something really interesting I just noticed? We play Phoenix twice in a row, like on Friday and Saturday, November 4th and 5th. Both times in Phoenix.
Yeah, that's something that they've been doing to try to help with the scheduling. They took it from baseball. Baseball has a lot of, the series where they play multiple times and 3-game series, they play 3 games 3 days in a row and it's all at the same stadium. They're trying to do that more when you're in Phoenix or like LA, you'll see us play LA and the Clippers kind of at the same time.
Yeah, I know they do that with the Lakers and the Clippers a lot. Like basically every team plays them in a row.
Yeah,
But
if you go down a little farther in December 10th and 12th, we play Minnesota twice at Portland.
I feel, that's interesting to me. I feel like normally when they do that, it's home and home. We'll be home one game, then Phoenix will be home the next.
And then we do it again in December 19th and the 21st with Oklahoma, where we're in OKC.
But yeah, having 2 games in a row on the other side, I don't remember that. It might have happened.
This, I think, is the first year that it happened. It might have been last year, but I think this is the first year where they're doing it like 2 in a row in the same stadium.
Like if it happened before, it would have been during the COVID season, but it feels really new to me, so that will be interesting.
Yeah, so it looks like it happens a decent amount actually this year.
Oh, it might be one of the ways they want to like limit traveling because I think that was one of the big.
That is exactly why. Yep, exactly why.
So I'm not against it or anything. I just found it notable.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't tell. I'm looking at them right now. It looks like they're mostly just one day apart. So it's like a game off, and then same team again. Almost every one. I think the very first one though isn't. I think they're back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one against Phoenix is back to back. The rest are one off, one on, one off, one on. So they're trying to make the schedule much easier for players, which is so crazy to me, dude. Like 15 years ago, I know like I sound like an old man, but like 15 years ago, no one was taking time off. Everyone was playing 82 games, and it's like training and rehabbing and everything has gotten so much better as time's gone on, and yet now they're needing to take less games, and it's crazy to me. I get it. I mean, I get it. 82 games is a lot, but these little changes that they make like this right here, we shouldn't be seeing load management with these kind of changes. These are all helping to, I don't know.
I think that's part of the goal, though. I think that's part of the goal to like if they're like, okay, if we do this, then stop load managing.
Exactly, it is.
I think that's what it is. But anyways, back to our schedule.
I think Adam Silver said that. I think that was like one of the things. He's like, we're trying to make it so that you guys stop doing this load management stuff.
All right.
I think if I remember right, didn't Kyrie? Maybe this was just a rumor, but wasn't Kyrie like saying he only wanted to play like 65 games? Like that was his requirement to sign his contract or to come back and play or something. Did you hear that, or am I just crazy?
That sounds familiar,
okay.
But
like, that's just what I mean. Like the mindset, it's like, what do you mean you only want to play 65 games? We're getting off track. I'm sorry.
I don't want to confirm that because it might have been like one of those fake stories.
It very well could have been.
Maybe we both saw it, so I'm not sure. But yeah, that vaguely sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, back to our schedule. Another reason why I'm kind of expecting a slower start is because how different is our roster this year? We have three new rotation players Gary Payton, Jeremy Grant. I guess Josh Hart played a little bit before getting injured last season, so but still, like, our rotation has not played together at all, especially, and Chauncey Billups hasn't had a lot of time to get familiar with our team either. So I think there might still be some kinks that need to be worked out. Dame hasn't played with Josh Hart, with Gary Payton, with Grant, with even Eubanks. So like all those guys, I think there might be a little bit of a learning curve, so that might give us a slower start. But I think after this 10-game stretch, maybe 20 games. I think after 20 games, we'll be like one of the better teams after we're like through the hard games and we're through that learning curve. I think we'll come out really strong. Like you said in the Discord a couple of days ago, or when the schedule came out, iron sharpens iron. So it might be tough during the stretch, but I think we'll come out of it really strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to kind of have that start where it's easy and you kind of get a couple wins and you feel good about yourself and build team chemistry, and winning helps that. But at the same time, tough losses and tough games to start the season builds almost better character and chemistry, going through tough losses and figuring out what could be tweaked to fix that. I'm excited. I think I don't know. I don't want to be overly optimistic, but the more I think about it, like the more excited I get. This is the first time where I feel like we actually have a fairly competent roster with defensive minded players that can, help defensively, and team defense will be much nicer and better rotations. And offensively, I know we talked about this last podcast about Grant being 1A or 2A and Simons being 2B. I'm really hoping that Grant is number 2 on our scoring, because I think that gives us a completely different dynamic offensively than having the same 1-2 guards being the 2 scoring threats. And like we've talked about before, Simons is such a good catch and shoot player, being off ball and catching the ball and shooting. And I think he was number 1 in catch and shoot last year, like percentage wise.
I think I saw that recently.
Yeah, I thought I saw a stat saying he was number 1, like over 2, 3, catch and shoots like over 3, and he was like at 4 a game, and he was the highest, percentage shooter. If we can have Jeremy Grant be our number 2 offensively, and then Simons is our number 3, which is crazy, and he's catching shooting, I'm so excited. I don't want to get my hopes up and then have it come crashing down, so I'm really trying to manage it. But the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, this isn't like a team that we've had in a while that I can at least look at and feel like, yeah, we finally have consistent offensive players, I feel like, and defensive players. So I don't want to get too far in it because we want to keep this short, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the season, and anything's going to hopefully be better than last year, because that was tough.
Yeah, I don't think it can get much worse than that.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
Nope, but I just want to say when this episode comes out, there's 41 days until preseason starts. So start your countdown.
We're getting there. And football's about to start up, so it can hold me over a little bit until we get going. Okay, well, Fawad, I appreciate you coming out and talking. Everybody else that's listening, thank you for listening. And as always, Rip City, baby. Thanks to My Life Pursuing for the music used on the intros and the outros of this podcast. You can check them out on all major streaming platforms at My Life Pursuing.
I'm trying, Jennifer.